Dallas, November 22, 1963. The motorcade turns onto Elm Street. A nation holds its breath, unknowingly poised on the precipice of a profound historical divergence. But what if, in that precise moment, fate had offered a different hand? Imagine a world where the shots rang out, yet found no fatal mark. A world where President John F. Kennedy, wounded but alive, was rushed to Parkland Hospital, not as a casualty, but as a survivor. The immediate shock would have been immense. The world would have reeled not from grief, but from a collective gasp of relief and disbelief. The investigation into the shooting would still have commenced, perhaps with even greater urgency and scrutiny. Lee Harvey Oswald, the alleged assassin, would face a living victim, altering the very nature of his trial. Public trust, so often fractured by tragedy, might have been bolstered by this miraculous escape. The nation, united in its concern, would have rallied around its recovering leader. The political landscape, however, would be irrevocably altered. With Kennedy at the helm, the Civil Rights Act might have faced a different legislative path. His personal conviction, coupled with the nation's renewed focus on unity, could have accelerated or subtly reshaped its passage. The Great Society programs, later championed by Johnson, might have been introduced under a different name, with different priorities. Kennedy's focus on poverty and space exploration would likely have intensified. A second term, now a tangible possibility, would have allowed him to solidify his vision for America. The political divisions of the late 1960s might have manifested differently, perhaps less violently. The most profound divergence would likely have occurred in Vietnam. Kennedy had already expressed reservations about deep military involvement, favoring advisors over ground troops. His survival could have meant a gradual, strategic withdrawal, averting the full-scale escalation that followed. The Cold War dynamic would shift. A living Kennedy might have pursued a more nuanced détente with the Soviet Union, building on the limited test ban treaty. Cuba, still a thorn, might have seen continued covert pressure rather than overt confrontation. The global chessboard would have been rearranged. A surviving Kennedy would have faced the tumultuous late 60s and early 70s. The counterculture movement, the assassinations of King and Robert Kennedy, the Watergate scandal, all might have unfolded in profoundly different ways. His continued presence could have offered a steadying hand, or perhaps a different kind of friction. His legacy would not be defined by a sudden, tragic end, but by the full arc of his presidency. The Camelot myth, born from his untimely death, would be replaced by the complex reality of a leader navigating an increasingly fractured world. Trust in government, so eroded in our timeline, might have followed an entirely different trajectory. We are left to ponder the profound weight of that single moment in Dallas. The path taken led to a specific future, shaped by grief and uncertainty. The path not taken, where Kennedy survived, remains an unwritten chapter, a haunting whisper of what might have been. It reminds us how fragile history is, how a single bullet or its absence can ripple through generations. The world we know is a consequence of that day, but another world, equally plausible, forever exists in the realm of speculation.